Hi, I'm Charlotte Smith with Bladen Online here at Bryan's Millpond in Tar Heel, North Carolina, surveying the damage after Tropical Storm Etna caused the dam to break. Where we're at.
Daniel Bryan. I live out here at the pond, and I was when my father, there was three brothers here, and I got my portion from him, as well as Sally's daddy was one of the three brothers.
And my name is Sally Bryan. I live out here at Bryan's Millpond. I was raised here. I moved back here with my mother in the house that my dad built, which was in 1954. I love it. It's so happy. It's a happy place for me to be. This pond has been a part of who I am because when I walk in the kitchen, that's what I see. I swam in it as a kid, baptizings all throughout the years. Corn grinding at the hill, and we just played in the edge of it even if we couldn't swim, and it's been a part of who I am.
How long has your family owned this property?
1797 is when William Bryan purchased the tract of land from a John Kane it was a land grant to John Kane. In 1797, roughly, that's when he purchased 300 acres, and on the 300 acres he started the original mill.
And so what kind of mill was it?
It was a grist mill.
A grist mill.
Right, which basically what you've got, you use the water to turn a turbine, which in turn through the gear work and the machinery you've got two stones that come together, and the corn is fed into that, and it's crushed into cornmeal.
Mm-hmm. So, but the corn mills, they're non-existent now, or?
I'm sure there are some somewhere, but at one time, just in probably 3 or 4 square miles of here, there were several small ones. But this one was probably one of the largest ones around. And so I imagine there was probably more people bringing their corn here to be ground than anywhere else. And in lieu of pay, they had like a till cup. So for example, for every bushel I grind, I'll take out one measure. And there was no money exchanged. It was done on that basis right there.
And I don't know at what point the last time that the mill was in operation. I don't know that.
I was told to the 1950s until, of course, Hazel's in 54 and that wiped out everything, but I was told
1950.
That's what my understanding.
Right.
Now, I'm not gonna say it was a full-time basis by no means, but off and on until then, maybe.
Okay.
Bryan's Millpond, and it is fed by two streams of water, and they're called runs. Danny, you want to tell them about those?
You got, on this side, you got the Reedy Meadow run, and on this side, you got the Black Swamp run, and basically, it's like she said, it's two tributaries or two streams that feed the pond. There's some underground springs, but basically the most water is coming from the two tributaries that run into it.
It seems the water has definitely receded. Do you know what's causing the water to disappear from the pond?
Well, but the biggest thing that's causing the water to recede right now, there was where the gatehouse or where the mill was at, that's where we had the gates at that control the water level. And when this last storm came through a couple of weeks ago or so, when the water washed out the dam, unfortunately this time it took where the gates were at too. And they were put in after Hazel, which was in 1954. But with the storm and age and all the components in between, when the dam went and washed out, it washed that away with it this time. So that's why now we're just stuck with a big hole there.
And there's nothing now to keep the water from flowing out. It's just a big wide area that's completely washed out, and the whole gate system just collapsed.
And where's the dam at? Where?
It is about 200 yards from here.
Right, and the dam itself right now in its present state runs parallel with Highway 131. And the part on this end is where we control the water level with the gates at, and that was the site of the dam, of the mill later on. So,
Our great-great-great-great-great-grandfather built an earthen dam, and it held the two streams of water that converge, and that's what keeps the water in. And that is how he could lift the gate up. The water would come in at the bottom and go into those turbines and turn the gears, and that was why he dammed it up to run the mill. Oh Lord, even as a kid, whenever people would finish putting in tobacco, Charlotte, they come with their towels and their bars of ivory soap, and the whole family would come in to pick up. The back of the pickups should be full of kids, and they just pile out. All of us would go swimming, and you get the tobacco gum off, and the farmers would get their burlap fertilizer bags and come and rinse them out, and families would come fish, and it would feed the community, and it was a place to just gather, and we had family reunions, and just a lovely place to go. And way back then, there were not as many places to entertain yourself, and transportation was mule and wagon or whatever. So it was sort of a gathering place for the community. You had to start going to private memberships, and we leased duck hunting to.
You had any engineers or anything look at it to see what it would take to fix it?
Not yet. Now, I've been in contact with, well, it's changed names, but I think it's DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, maybe now, the regional office in Fayetteville. I talked to one of the engineers there. Now, the problem's going to be, this is technically a private pond. And when you start talking private pond versus, say, if it was a public dam, for example. But from what I've been able to gather, there's still little caveats where it might still apply. I've talked briefly with people here in Blaine County, like the Soil and Water Conservation, I'm sure the name's been changed there too, about that. But as far as in-depth and having somebody come out here and survey and give their 2 cents worth, no, not really yet.
If the state gets involved and they use their resources, it will no longer be a private pond, and it will become property of the state, and then you have the public that are going to be using it. And I don't think we're quite ready for that. Our problem now is that because we've had so many washouts in the past few years, our funds are depleted. So right now it's sort of a moot point. We're at a standstill until we can find funds to rebuild.
Gonna try to do a fundraiser?
Melissa Bedsole is at IGA. She and her family bought the one in Dublin. And she has started a Facebook page with PayPal asking for donations. And a couple of our members offered to come do cook, barbecue, or whatever, and help us if we would decide to. I don't want people to think we're trying to take advantage of their generosity, because certainly there are causes that are a lot more important than this. I think it would be grand if anybody that would be so led to do that it would just be guaranteed that they could come in and fish and use the pond. I would be ever so grateful, and just praise God and